Jai Hind viewers, it's my honor today to host Major Avnish Sabharwal on the Achievers Articulate in Global Strategic and Defense News to discuss success as a veteran in the corporate. Avnish has been a major in the Armored Corps of the Indian Army and is currently the Managing Director of Accenture Ventures and Open Innovation. Avnish has done MBA from Warwick Business School, United Kingdom, and is a specialist in strategy from the Harvard. He has also done innovation from MIT and Stanford. Welcome, Avnish, to Achievers Articulate.
Thank you very much, Justy. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Avnish, my first question to you is, can you please describe your impressive journey from an army officer to having, succeeded, and you are now the managing director of such a prestigious firm?
Sure, Justy. So my transition from armed forces to a MD role in the corporate world has been an exciting journey filled with challenges and opportunities to grow as a professional. So after spending around 8 years as part of the elite Armored Corps arm of the Indian Army, I took premature retirement and proceeded to UK and US to do a full-time MBA. Post my MBA, I was lucky to have got job opportunities in both UK and US, and I decided to take the offer from IBM UK and started my corporate life as a management consultant. In my first year only with IBM, I was awarded the National Excellence Award for my work with one of the large automotive manufacturers. Post this, a number of more rewards and recognitions flowed as I rose to become the automotive lead for IBM for Europe. However, all this did not come easily, as I had to make up for my time in the army, and to be honest, worked 10 times harder as my other corporate colleagues. In my first 5 years, I hardly took 1 week of holiday in total, and working on weekends was business as usual. This is where I realized that if you want to be the best, you need to make sacrifices. One day, I got to know that there was an opportunity at IBM India to set up an entirely new team based on strategy consulting, something which had never been attempted in an offshore model. It was also the time when India was growing very fast, and I did not want to miss out on being part of India's growth journey. So I decided to relocate back to India in 2006 and settle down in Bangalore. This transition taught me the lesson that your success in your career is all about jumping from what I call one S curve to the other. One needs the self-awareness of where you are on your current S curve. And as you reach the top of it is generally the time to look for your next S curve. I have seen many professionals staying either too long in one particular job or too eager to make jumps from one job to the other. Both are wrong. So after around 11 years of working with IBM, I decided to join Accenture as head of corporate strategy. This was my next S curve in my professional career, as I realized that my personal learnings at IBM had plateaued a bit. Accenture was an entirely different culture than IBM, and I had to adapt to it to fit in. In my first year with Accenture, I got promoted, which was rare. One of the highlights of my early days with Accenture was that when I got the opportunity to be the program manager for our global CEO who was visiting India from Paris. So here I was able to leverage all my skills and experience as the ADC to the governor of Madhya Pradesh, and the visit was a huge success. To be honest, I learned more about managing a global complex business like Accenture in the 3 days I spent with the CEO than I had done in the entire past 1 year. Finally, during my time as the strategy head, I realized that India was at the cusp of becoming a big startup nation. And it was the right time to switch from strategy to innovation and ventures. And therefore, it was time to jump to the next X curve. So coming to the current phase of my career at Accenture, I am now responsible for partnering, investing, and acquiring deep tech startups in areas around AI, metaverse, cybersecurity, blockchain, and Internet of Things. It is a job which I have been doing for the last 7 odd years and something I really enjoy doing.
Well, Avni, that is very, very impressive. I actually am a loss of words to, having heard of your incredible journey. Avnish, my next question to you is that when you decided to leave the army, didn't the insecurity of the civil world, put you at unease? And with that is another question that during your corporate career, did you anytime feel that you had done a mistake in leaving a secured government job?
Excellent question, Jesse. So yes, totally. I would be lying if I said that I had no fear or insecurity. Actually, some bit of fear is good, as long as it does not paralyze your thinking. When I left army and went for my MBA to UK, I had a 8-year-old son and zero bank balance. And on the other hand, as you are well aware, army gives you the protected environment and caters for all your basic needs like food, safety, security, esteem, and belonging. But I was perhaps looking for something more than these needs. I wanted to complete my learning, do my master's, travel the world, and discover my purpose. All this led to a job in the corporate world, which I knew nothing about. But I had supreme confidence in my ability to learn and adapt, and also great support from my parents and wife. All this helped to make the leap of faith, I guess. But did it scare me and kept me awake at nights? Absolutely. My advice to veterans who feel insecure about leaving the structured life of the military and venturing into the corporate world is to recognize their unique leadership and people and organization management skills. They should seek out support and resources from the people who have already done the transition. Embrace learning opportunities, stay positive and focused, and do not be afraid to experiment and even fail. And give yourself time to adjust to your new career. With the right mindset and support, veterans can successfully transition to the corporate world and achieve their goals and contribute to the nation and society for a very long time.
Very well said, Avnish. Avnish, my next question to you is that what leadership lessons you learned from the army that helped you in good state in your corporate journey till date?
Well, Jesse, as army is all about leadership. So, as a member of the armed forces, you gain a wealth of leadership experience that can be actually directly applied to the corporate world. So, some of the lessons which I learned, one, first of all, is about effective communication. In the army, effective communication is essential for the mission success, right? You learn how to communicate clearly and concisely using both verbal and non-verbal cues to get your messages across. This skill can be applied to the corporate world where clear communication is key to building relationships, managing teams, and achieving organization goals. Second is around decision making. As part of the armed forces, we are constantly faced with high pressure situations where quick and effective decision making is critical, and leaders are often faced with complex problems and must make informed decisions with limited data and information. And this skill is actually very, very valuable for the corporate world now because the change is so fast nowadays that there is hardly any time to gather data and make those decisions. So if you have been trained in the army setup, in the armed forces environment, that helps a lot. The third, which is a very important lesson, is what I call mission first, people always. The army values teamwork and emphasizes the importance of working together to achieve a common goal. I learned the art and science of building high performing teams from the army. And again, these skills are highly valuable to the corporate world, where teamwork is essential for achieving organizational objectives. As for example, in companies like Accenture or IBM, people are your only assets. I always believe that people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. The next one is about adaptability. So, Army often operates in unpredictable environments where unexpected challenges can arise at any time. I learned how to adapt quickly to changing circumstances, being flexible in my approach, and remain calm under pressure. These skills are valuable in the corporate world where change is the only constant, and leaders must be able to adapt to new situations quickly, especially in what we call the current VUCA world. VUCA, for those who don't know, is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Next one would be around authentic leadership. So in the army, leaders are expected to lead by example, setting the standard for their subordinates to follow. I learned how to lead with integrity, demonstrating a strong work ethic, accountability, and commitment to excellence. These leadership qualities are highly valued in the corporate world, where leaders are expected to inspire and motivate their teams to achieve the best. However, the difference is that while in the army you always lead from the front, especially if you are a young officer, in corporate worlds many times you lead from the behind as well and actually empower your people. And finally, what I learned in the army is leadership is a close contact sport. In combat, where leadership is at its most raw and basic, absolute trust and loyalty between you and your men are the critical leadership traits which are critical to ensuring victory. So while in corporate the situation is never that extreme, but you need to definitely earn the trust of your team, which are globally dispersed and come from different cultures and authenticity. Also, I feel that one thing which I learned in the army is that leadership needs to be earned and cannot be delegated or exercised from the comfort of your room. So those are some of the lessons which I thought were very valuable in helping me differentiate myself in the corporate world, Jesse.
Well, Avnish very rightly brought out loyalty, integrity, and trust are the foundations of any good organization or any good relationship. Avnish, my next question to you is that who are the military leaders you admire and what kind of influence have these leaders had on you, either in your life in the army or your career in the corporate?
Excellent question again, Jesse. And I think while there are many leaders in the army, and I've been a big reader of number of their personal journeys, especially the leaders in the Armored Corps. But I think if it was one leader which I would like to talk about today, it definitely has to be Field Marshal Sam Hormozji, Framji, Jamshedji Manekshaw, or better known in our world as Sam Bahadur. So Sam Bahadur was one of Field Marshal Sam Bahadur, one of the most respected and revered military leaders that I think India has ever produced. And what were his leadership traits that specially attracted me to him? I will talk a little bit about that. One was his visionary leadership, right? Field Marshal Manekshaw was a visionary leader who could see the big picture and had a clear vision of what he wanted to achieve. He had deep understanding of geopolitical situation and the strategic implications of his decisions, which he displayed all throughout his career, including the 1971 war with Pakistan, which led to the creation of Bangladesh. Second trait which I really admire was he was a strategic thinker, right? Who could analyze complex situations and come up with innovative solutions. He was known for his ability to devise and execute effective military strategies. This quality of his made me take up strategy as a functional skill in the corporate world. And that's how I became a corporate strategist, to be honest. The third was courage. Sam was a courageous leader who led from the front always. He never shied from taking risks and was always ready to face challenges head on. He was known for his bravery both on and off the battlefield. And something which I really liked was he always detested what he called as the yes man, someone who I also cannot stand. The next one was about empathy. Sam was a leader who cared deeply for his troops. He was known for his compassion and understanding of the needs of his soldiers. He was always there for his troops, whether they needed help or just a listening ear. Similarly, I am also very close to my team members and make it a point to understand their ambitions and fears, which motivate them. The next trait which I liked about Sam was his communication skills. He was an excellent communicator, as we all know, who could inspire and motivate his troops just with his words. He had a way with words and he could articulate his thoughts and ideas very clearly and concisely. This is something which I worked very hard on in the corporate world. Until today, this skill differentiates me from my peers. I can be accused of a lot of shortcomings, but ambiguity is not one of them. Finally, last two skills or traits would be decisiveness. Manekshaw was a decisive leader who could make tough decisions under pressure. He had a reputation for being a no-nonsense leader and could get things done. I also take very fast decisions and take full accountability once I have taken those decisions. So, unlike many of the corporate leaders, you will seldom see me sitting on the fence when a tough decision has to be taken. And finally, the most important skill, Jasri, would be chutzpah, right? This is obviously an Hebrew word, but it means supreme confidence in yourself, right? And one point during the war, I remember the 1971 war, Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, asked Manekshaw how long it would take to defeat Pakistan. And Field Marshal Manekshaw famously replied, "Madam, you give me the soldiers and I'll give you the victory." This response demonstrated Sam Manekshaw's confidence in his abilities as a military leader and his chutzpah in speaking truth to the power. And as the war progressed, the then defense minister, began to interfere in military matters and demanded that Manekshaw launch a full-scale invasion of West Pakistan. However, Manekshaw refused to bow to the pressure and insisted on following his own strategic plan. And he famously replied to the defense minister, "I am fighting a war, not a battle of egos." This response demonstrated Manekshaw's chutzpah and standing up to powerful politicians and insisting on what he thought was the right thing for his country. His response also showed his commitment to putting the safety of his soldiers first and not compromising on his principles at any cost. I have also not only embraced this quality, but to be honest, I am often accused of having too much of chutzpah. So yes, that's what I feel really great about Sam Manekshaw. But on the other hand, the way he was treated at the end of his life is something which is very disappointing and is something which antagonizes me no end, Jesse.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Avnish. India, one of the most iconic military generals of India has been Field Marshal Manekshaw. And I totally agree with you. In fact, I wrote an article also on this that, he should have been given a farewell as the other, dignitaries have been given in the past. I totally agree with you, Avnish. Avnish, my last question to you is that what advice would you give to veterans or serving officers of the Indian Armed Forces or any army of the world who be watching this program? I mean, when they are on the cusp of moving from a secured, government job to the uncertainty in the corporate world. So, what would you advise them?
So I think the first thing, Jesse, the timing is very important, right? You have to be clear in terms of if you want to finish your 20 years of service in the army and then leave and get into the corporate, then there are a certain kind of jobs you can get. But unlike that, for example, I left quite early and I was able to get into the mainstream corporate jobs. So the first thing is definitely be clear in terms of the timing of when you are looking at leaving the army. But besides that, in terms of, I would say that the first thing which you need to do is when you are trying to get a job is or getting into corporate is you should highlight your what I call transferable skills, right? Many skills and experiences gained in the military, such as I talked about leadership, teamwork, communication, problem solving, adaptability. These are highly valued in corporate world. So make sure to highlight these skills on your resume and during job interviews. These are very important. Second would be network and seek mentorship. So networking is important in any industry, and the corporate world is no exception. So attend networking events, connect with professionals in your desired field, and seek mentorship from experienced corporate leaders. Your military experience may also provide opportunities for networking, such as through veterans organizations and others, right? So I have been part of many such events which veterans organize for people who are trying to get into industry, and I'm a keynote speaker there. So I am always there sharing my experience and making sure that I am able to clarify any doubt and questions the veterans have. The next would be seek additional education. A number of times, a lot of the even including our course mates just have asked me that should we take that 6 month course which we are entitled to before leaving in IIM Bangalore or MDI or and I always tell them that yeah, you should definitely do that because I feel there is genuine amount of value in doing these courses, enriching your insights and learnings. So I think that is something which so consider pursuing additional education or certifications such as degree or certification in business, program management, finance, IT, or business or different industries. So the next would be patient and persistent, right? So transitioning from the military to the corporate world may take time, and it's important to be patient and persistent in your job, sir. Don't get discouraged by rejection, and keep refining your resume and job search strategies. So one thing which I always say is that doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result is insanity. So if you are not getting success in a, by doing a particular or following a particular approach or strategy, then it is very clear that you need to pivot. And if you are not clear in terms of how you want to pivot or what you should be doing differently, that is the time to seek mentorship and talk to people who can help you. And finally, just see, the most important thing nowadays is embrace technology. In corporate world or in any part of the society now, every business is a technology business. So make yourself aware of the latest developments in this space, especially what is happening in artificial intelligence and generative AI and chat GPT. Chat GPT, for example, is seen to be a bigger innovation than even fire and electricity. It is going to completely change the way we live, we work, and how things are going to evolve in the future. So while I'm not expecting, in fact, the good thing is that you don't really need to be a techie to use chat GPT and generative AI. Everybody is at the same level playing field. As long as you know English, you are good to go. But the idea here is that embrace technology, try to understand what is happening in the technology, and then make sure that you are able to leverage it as you transition from military to the corporate world. So this is what my few lessons or my advice to our veterans would be who are wanting to join the corporate justice.
Thank you so much, Avnish. It's been really wonderful talking to you, knowing about you. In fact, I would like to tell the viewer that Avnish and myself, we both are coursemate from the eternal and regular course of the Indian Military Academy. And we both got commissioned in the Indian Army on the same date, that is on 14 December 1991. And Avnish, in this about half an hour, I have learned much more about you than probably I've done in my entire service, including the training period in IMA. And I'm really very grateful to you that you've been so candid in your conversations. You've been so upright and telling about everything so clearly and crisply. I really admire this quality of yours, and thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and coming on the Global Strategic and Defense News.
Justy, thank you very much as well. It's a mutual admiration society. I am a big admirer of your work also, which you are doing, and especially with all your interactions with media and representing India. It is fantastic. And again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think that was fantastic conversation, and I wish you and your initiatives all the best for future as well.
Thank you, Avnish.
Thank you.